Buonasera, I'm Christopher Stewart. Working with Lucio Fulci. Oh man. When I say Lucio is an absolute genius, you have to understand that it's from a lot of the perspective of being in Italy and working with Italians. When you think about it from an American perspective, it's difficult to understand because directors in America, directors in Britain, have a tendency to concern themselves more with directing the actors. That's not what Italian directors do. Italian directors figure that it's your job to act, so you should just know what to do, so you should just do it. They're too busy concerning themselves with the camera angles, with is the set properly lit, this kind of thing, to care about whether or not the actor knows what he or she is supposed to be doing. Okay? So you have to understand that an Italian director is more of a cameraman than a director. Okay? Lucio Fulci was an absolute genius when it came to photography, when it came to direction, when it came to being an Italian director, as a writer, screenplay artist. He wrote some of the scripts he worked on. I mean, some of the stuff he did was just absolutely over the top, amazing, completely insane. I mean, the guy was an Einstein in some ways. He really was. He was just a fantastic person and a marvel in a mind. He really was. To give you an example of this, he would look at a group of people and say, okay, you, and you. Lie there, lie there, lie there, lie there, lie there. I need one more. You, lie there. And they'd be lying on the floor. And then he would go out and he'd come back with like 3 or 4 smoke projectors. And he'd set them up in different places. And he'd set them off. And then he'd angle a few cameras this way. He'd turn a few parts of the set. He'd change a light bulb to a different color. He'd do all these weird, funky things that you're not even sure what he's even doing. And then he comes back, he looks at the camera and goes, still not right. And he moves his camera to another angle, another position, sets it up, does a few more things and whatnot. And then finally he goes, perfect. When I say action, everyone do whatever you're supposed to do. I want no noise whatsoever except for the people who are making noise, and you people on the floor do exactly what I told you to do. Don't move an inch. Don't do anything other than what I told you to do, even if I told you to do nothing. Ready? Action. And then he shoots. And then he goes, perfect. And we're looking at this weird, funky thing that we have no understanding of how it even looks. And then he shows it to us in dailies. In dailies, it looks 16 times better than what it looked like on the set. And on top of that, he says, I bet you are all wondering what I was doing. And he brings out a painting and sets it on an easel. And it's the painting itself that he's showing us in film. Okay? That's what he was doing. He was making the painting in live action. The man was an incredible genius when it came down to it. Now, he did have some hit or misses. Okay? Not all of his films were great. I did have the pleasure of working with him on From Beyond, Demonia, The House of Clocks, some of the best works he ever did. He was an absolute genius and a joy to see in that light. Now, he wasn't exactly a joy to work for. The biggest problem with Lucio Fulci is Lucio has basically 2 modes. There's the quiet, reserved, working mode where he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's being the director and he's creating a masterpiece. And that's easy to work with. That's easy to get along with. You have no problems whatsoever. Then he has his other mode, his talkative mode, as we put it. When he gets into his talkative mood, then it's, the script is terrible. Why is his talent wasted on this? Why is he forced to work with that actor or that actress? They're such horrible people, and nobody likes him anyway. And he just starts whining and he starts complaining. And the moment he starts whining and complaining, you know you better be watching your toes, because it's going to get worse. Okay? Because then he gets known for what Lucio Fulci was most known for. He starts making everybody on the set and around him upset, angry, pissed off. He goes out of his way to make you angry. He goes out of his way to upset you. And he does it over and over and over again. And if he finally finds something that irritates you, he does it 1,000 times over and over and over again to make sure he's irritating you. That's Lucio Fulci. So there's good points to him, there's bad points to him as a director. Where I ran into a lot of problems with it is not that he was insulting my friends. I could deal with that. Most of my friends were above it. When he finally pushed me over the edge was when he wasn't just insulting a friend of mine. He made her cry, feel incredibly terrible about herself, hide in her dressing room and make me talk her out of the insane depression he put her in for about 3 hours. And this was a 13-year-old girl. Okay? You don't do that to children. You just don't. And that was what really just completely threw me over the edge with him. That's where I was almost to the point where I didn't want to work with him again. But we worked with it, you know. I don't remember what the last film I did with him was. It was either New York Ripper or one of the zombie flicks, I think. I can't really remember. And we had a good time when we had a good time. And we had a bad time when we had a bad time. You know, there are a lot of ups and downs to it. But some of his work, oh my God. When you look at the final production of something like From Beyond, Demonia, The House of Clocks, I wasn't a part of it, but in amongst all that, Seven Notes in Black, when you look at those productions and their final piece, you just go, wow, I'm proud to have been a part of that. I'm glad to have been a part of that. That is amazing. Even if you were just like one of the walk-on extras or one of the bodies on the floor in the painting. Okay? You know, because you made the thing work. And when you finally see it, it's just so over the top that you're like, wow, that's cool. And that's how he was a director. That's where he was really good as a director. When he was just being a director, he was phenomenal. He was just absolutely incredible. But, you know, you have good times and bad times. I've had a few Italian directors that, well, you know, but, you know, and that goes with the territory. And so it was interesting to work with. Fun sometimes. Not as much fun to work with as everybody else. But, you know, that's on Lucio Fulci. I don't want to go too much into other things. If you haven't seen some of his productions, some of them are absolutely unreal. They really are. They are probably some of the best in the world. You look at something like, oh my God, the House by the Cemetery. That is just an amazing piece. It just is. And some of it is just really over the top and totally Lucio Fulci.